Have you ever found yourself in a moment of intimacy, perhaps with a beloved partner, and felt a quiet frustration? That moment when you desire closeness, want to feel that spark, but your body just doesn't seem to cooperate like it once did. You might even shrug it off. Think it's just a part of getting older, a natural decline. But what if I told you that for many men, that quiet struggle, that feeling of your body letting you down, isn't inevitable? What if there's a specific, often unspoken habit, something many of us do in private, that is silently sabotaging your ability to get and maintain an erection? It's a painful reality that can chip away at your confidence, strain relationships, and make you feel disconnected from a vital part of yourself. As a penis surgeon, I've seen firsthand the physical and emotional toll this takes, and it's a far more common issue than most people realize. In this video, we're going to dive into the core of this very sensitive topic, peel back the layers of misunderstanding, and reveal the surprisingly simple mistake that could be holding you back. More importantly, I'll share practical, easy-to-implement strategies to help you reclaim your natural vitality and connection. It's not about blame, it's about understanding and empowerment. Watch to the end for something that will surprise you. Now, let's talk about what's really happening here. And it all boils down to a very common, yet often unrecognized, pattern that many men develop during masturbation. We're not talking about masturbation itself being the problem. It's a natural and healthy part of human sexuality. The issue arises when the specific technique, the amount of pressure, the speed, or even the type of lubricant used during solo activity becomes so consistent and so intense that it actually trains your penis to only respond to that very particular, very specific type of stimulation. Think of it like this. Your brain and your body are incredibly adaptable. When you repeat an action over and over, especially one that brings pleasure, your neural pathways become highly efficient at processing that specific stimulus. In the context of solo play, if you consistently use a very firm grip, a high-speed motion, or a particular type of friction, your system learns to expect and only truly respond to that exact kind of input. This creates what I call a narrowed comfort zone for your penis. When you then try to engage in partnered intimacy, where the touch is naturally softer, more varied, less direct, and often involves less pressure than you might apply yourself, your body simply doesn't recognize it as sufficient to achieve or maintain an erection. It's not that there's anything wrong with your partner's touch. It's that your own habits have inadvertently desensitized you to a broader range of stimulation. Imagine trying to drive a powerful car, but only ever using the accelerator full throttle. If you then try to gently cruise, the car might feel sluggish or unresponsive because it's been conditioned for extreme speed. Your penis, in a sense, can become conditioned in a similar way. Many men come to me feeling bewildered and disheartened because they can get an erection easily on their own, but struggle immensely with a partner. They wonder if they've lost their desire for their partner, or if something is medically wrong, when often, the root cause is this specific conditioning. The physical effects can be subtle but significant. Over time, relying on overly aggressive or specific techniques can lead to a slight blunting of the nerve endings in the penis, making it less responsive to gentler stimulation. More significantly, it trains your brain to expect an extremely high level of stimulus to trigger a full erectile response. This isn't usually something that doctors openly discuss, perhaps out of delicacy or because it's so personal, but it's a genuine phenomenon I see in my practice. The good news is that because this is largely a learned behavior, it's something you can absolutely unlearn and retrain. The first step is acknowledging that this might be happening. It's not about shame. It's about understanding a natural physiological response to consistent conditioning. The path to improvement begins with a conscious effort to break free from this specific, restrictive habit. Instead of reaching for the same high-intensity, specific technique every time, the goal is to introduce variety and recalibrate your system. This might mean exploring different types of touch, varying the pressure, changing the speed, or even incorporating different sensory experiences during solo time. It's about expanding that comfort zone so your penis becomes more receptive to a wider spectrum of stimulation, which is precisely what partnered intimacy offers. This shift in habit is the first, crucial step toward reclaiming your full erectile potential and enjoying intimacy without that quiet frustration. Continuing our conversation. Once you recognize the pattern of overly specific or intense stimulation during solo time, the next crucial step is to consciously diversify your approach. This isn't about stopping masturbation altogether, but about breaking the habit of relying on one single, powerful technique. Think of it as re-educating your penis and your brain to appreciate a wider spectrum of sensory input. One highly effective strategy is to vary the type of touch and pressure you use. If you've been accustomed to a very firm, direct grip, try using a looser hand, or even just your fingertips. Experiment with lighter strokes, broader movements, or even just rolling the skin. The goal is to introduce new, less intense sensations that still lead to arousal, but don't rely on the same level of forceful friction. Many men find it helpful to vary the surfaces they use as well. If you always use a dry hand, try a little water, or a very thin, non-lubricating lotion that still allows some skin-on-skin feel, but with less intense glide. This helps break the cycle of expecting that one specific, highly intense type of stimulation. Another powerful technique is to introduce pauses or breaks during solo activity. Instead of maintaining continuous high-intensity stimulation until climax, try stopping for a few moments, letting the sensation subside slightly, and then restarting with a different kind of touch. This helps your system learn that arousal isn't a straight line to one type of intense sensation, but rather a dynamic process with peaks and valleys. It retrains your brain to build excitement from a less direct, more nuanced progression, which is much more akin to how intimacy unfolds with a partner. Think of it like learning to appreciate different types of music. If you only ever listen to heavy rock, your ears might struggle to appreciate the subtleties of classical music. But by exposing yourself to different genres, you broaden your appreciation and enjoyment. The same principle applies here. Furthermore, a critical aspect of reclaiming your natural erectile function is to gently reintroduce the idea of sensual, non-performance-based touch. Often, men who struggle with this narrowed comfort zone unconsciously link all penile stimulation directly to achieving an erection for penetrative sex. This creates immense pressure. Instead, spend time exploring non-genital intimacy with your partner. Focus on kissing, hugging, massage, or simply lying close and enjoying the sensation of skin-on-skin contact. When you do engage in direct penile stimulation with a partner, encourage them to use a variety of light touches, caresses, and different pressures. It might feel counterintuitive at first, especially if you're used to needing very direct, firm stimulation. But this is how you resensitize. Remind yourself that erection is a natural outcome of arousal, not something you force. The brain plays a huge role here. If you're constantly worried about performance, that anxiety itself can inhibit an erection. By focusing on connection, pleasure, and exploration of different types of touch, you alleviate some of that pressure and allow your body to respond more naturally. This also helps decouple the idea that only one specific type of stimulation can lead to an erection. It empowers you to rebuild confidence and discover new pathways to arousal, making intimacy a more fulfilling and less stressful experience for both you and your partner. This mindful approach to broadening your sensory horizons is essential for breaking free from the restrictive habit and restoring a more flexible and responsive erectile function. So, we've talked about how those consistent, perhaps overly intense or specific, masturbatory habits can inadvertently create a narrowed comfort zone for your penis, making it less responsive to the varied, gentler touch of partnered intimacy. We've also explored diversifying your solo techniques, varying pressure and touch, and introducing pauses to re-educate your system. The journey to reclaiming your natural erectile function doesn't stop there. It's also vital to understand the profound role your mind plays in this process. When you've been accustomed to a certain level of stimulation, your brain starts to expect it. And if it doesn't receive that exact input, it can create a mental block. This isn't about conscious thought. It's a subconscious expectation that can actually inhibit the natural physiological process of an erection. Overcoming this involves conscious effort to shift your mental focus during intimacy. One powerful approach is mindfulness, instead of fixating on whether you're getting an erection or on specific performance. Try to fully immerse yourself in the sensations of the moment. Focus on your partner's touch, their scent, the sound of their breath, the warmth of their skin. This shifts your attention away from the performance anxiety that often accompanies erectile difficulties and allows your body to respond more organically. For example, if you find yourself getting anxious, take a few slow, deep breaths and bring your awareness back to the present moment, to the feel of your partner's hand on your arm or their lips on your neck. It's about building a connection to the moment, not just to the outcome. Many men find that as they worry less about the erection itself, the erection paradoxically becomes easier to achieve. Another key strategy is to communicate openly and honestly with your partner about what you're experiencing. This can be a very vulnerable conversation, but it's incredibly important. Letting your partner know that you're working on some personal habits to improve your sexual health can strengthen your bond. They can become an ally, understanding that if an erection isn't immediate or as firm as before, it's not a reflection of their desirability or your lack of attraction. They can help you explore new types of touch, encourage you to slow down, and remove the pressure of performance. For instance, you might say something like, "I've been learning about some subtle ways my body has adapted over time, and I'm working on resensitizing myself. It would be really helpful if we could explore different types of touch together. Maybe less direct at first, and just focus on enjoying the closeness without any pressure." This creates a shared journey rather than a solitary struggle. Finally, remember that patience and persistence are your greatest allies. Changing deeply ingrained habits, both physical and mental, takes time. There will be days when you feel progress, and days when you feel like you're back at square one. This is completely normal. Don't get discouraged. Each small step, each conscious effort to diversify your stimulation, to practice mindfulness, and to communicate openly, contributes to a larger shift. Celebrate the small victories, like feeling more responsive to gentler touch, or simply enjoying the intimacy without the internal pressure. It's about gradually expanding that comfort zone and retraining your body and mind to respond to the natural, varied, and loving stimulation that is inherent in partnered intimacy. This isn't a quick fix. It's a journey of self-discovery and rediscovery of pleasure. And it's a journey well worth taking for your overall well-being and connection. So, we've covered quite a bit, haven't we? From recognizing that subtle, often unacknowledged mistake in masturbatory habits that can narrow your body's comfort zone for stimulation, to actively diversifying your approach during solo time, and crucially, embracing mindfulness and open communication with your partner. The core message here is one of empowerment. The challenges you might be facing with erectile function aren't necessarily inevitable signs of aging or a permanent decline. Instead, for many, they can be rooted in learned behaviors. And thankfully, what's learned can absolutely be unlearned and retrained. Remember, the goal isn't to stop masturbation, but to make it a more varied and less restrictive experience for your system. It's about teaching your body to respond to a wider spectrum of touch and sensation, rather than just that one specific, intense technique. Think about it like exercising a muscle. If you only ever lift weights in one specific way, that muscle might get very strong in that one motion, but it won't be as adaptable or versatile for other movements. Your sexual responsiveness is much the same, by varying your solo techniques, by introducing lighter touches, different speeds, and even pausing to let sensations ebb and flow. You're building a more versatile and responsive system. We also delved into the profound impact of your mind. The anxiety and performance pressure that often accompany erectile difficulties can create a vicious cycle. By practicing mindfulness, by focusing on the present moment and the true joy of connection with your partner, you can significantly reduce that mental burden. This isn't about ignoring the issue, but about shifting your focus from having to perform to experiencing pleasure and intimacy. And don't underestimate the power of simply talking with your partner, sharing your journey, explaining what you're learning about your body, and asking for their help in exploring new ways of connecting can deepen your bond and make the entire process so much less daunting. It transforms a solitary struggle into a shared journey of discovery. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about understanding that your body is incredibly adaptable. And with conscious effort and a little patience, you can absolutely broaden your capacity for pleasure and intimacy. Small, consistent changes truly do make a big difference, not just for your sexual health, but for your overall confidence, well-being, and the quality of your relationships. You deserve to experience intimacy fully and joyfully. At every stage of your life, this isn't a topic often discussed, but it's crucial for living a complete and fulfilling life. I truly hope this conversation has given you some valuable insights and practical steps you can start taking today. If you found this information helpful, or if you have your own experiences or questions to share, please leave a comment down below. Your insights could help countless others who might be quietly struggling with similar issues. And if you'd like to continue learning about how to live your best life at every age, how to navigate the physical and emotional changes that come with time, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We're here to provide practical, compassionate advice to help you thrive. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, live your best life at every age.